And then you have this dude who allegedly blows himself up in the Cybertruck in front of Trump Tower. And then you have the email that was leaked by Sean Ryan on his show that this bomber allegedly sent, talking about the drones and how that we have this secret anti-gravity tech and these things are from China. And so in my professional opinion, as a professional conspiracy theorist, what this is clearly a psyop. This is some kind of psyop to muddy the waters and kick up a lot of dust and confusion ahead of these real whistleblowers coming out soon.
All right, and welcome to the Acid for Squares podcast. I'm your host, Cody Blue.
I'm Tanya Dahl, and today we have on the show, back again, Serena DC and Michael Mazzola in the house.
Yeah, bringing them back.
We're going to be talking about some weird shit that's going on right now.
This will be our first recorded episode of 2025, so thank you both for coming on and coming back, I should say.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
So, I mean, for those of you that have watched episode 5 and episode 9, you know that these are two of the top documentary filmmakers in the field of UFOlogy. So we really want to have you both on to talk about a bunch of stuff, but we want to start off by talking about the quote unquote New Jersey drones. Like, what the fuck do you two think is going on? Can you illuminate us and illuminate to the listeners?
Well, I actually know exactly what's going on, and I'm going to have to tell everyone the truth. It's aliens. They're here, and they just love New Jersey. I mean,
I knew it.
Who doesn't?
I mean, what's not to love,
What
right?
a twist.
But seriously, this has been such a crazy story. You know, as people that are in the public eye when it comes to UFO and ET kind of stuff, Michael and I, our inboxes are hit up every single day with people asking us what's going on. And unfortunately, you know, we don't have too much information on it. Although Michael has been receiving some very interesting intel.
Ooh, do
he might
tell.
want to share with you.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's really interesting that these are over New Jersey, which is where Orson Welles' War of the Worlds broadcast took place.
Oh, interesting.
Right? So
didn't realize
everyone, when he sort of accidentally freaked out half the country and
Yeah,
caused
yeah.
a mass panic, it was aliens invading New Jersey. So just want to point that out. But we have had Stephen Greer for the last several months talking about this group of new witnesses who are going to be coming forward before the inauguration, right? Which is in 13 days, right? These guys are very, very, very deep into these illegal classified programs that have been dealing with UFOs and technology.
Government programs?
This is beyond government programs.
Mm-hmm.
These are the illegal, unacknowledged programs that are hidden in the private sector.
Mm-hmm.
They're in private companies where, you know, Freedom of Information Act requests have no jurisdiction. There are military and government officials embedded in these programs. But, you know, if you really want to hide this stuff, you hide it in the private sector. You hide it in the defense companies,
Mhm.
right? And so we had a...
Whoa. So
what was that?
That's a power outage.
That's
Mm.
Did the
brother
computer shut off?
silencing you.
Okay. No, it's okay. Let's
were
reset
concerned about
everything
this
and we'll go
happening, but-
again.
Yeah, I would check all the
Well,
cameras.
the cameras are
That's
still
so
going.
weird. We just had the power kick out, so we'll see how long we can go. I mean, there
That was
are
scary.
yeah. This
We
is
have some
wild times.
wild, like 100-mile-an-hour winds in Los Angeles right now, and
The Palisades are burning.
The Palisades are
Yeah.
burning. People are losing their
Getty's
homes.
burning.
The Getty. I mean, it's really,
like,
really
what is
bad,
happening?
and it's not supposed to let up until Friday or Saturday. So pray for all the people out there that are having homes and animals and families, and hope everybody makes it safely.
Well,
out.
my home's in Beverly Hills, which is in the hot zone, apparently. So
really?
Oh, whoa.
after this, I'll be going home and battening down the hatches and,
Yeah?
you know, hoping everything's going to be okay. But
Holy shit. You were saying people are like abandoning their cars and fleeing on foot in the Palisades. Yeah,
30,000 people have been evacuated.
Yeah.
So let's see how the night draws on.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yes.
Well, thoughts and prayers with everyone
Right.
Who's being affected by the winds and the fires. 2025 is starting with a fucking bang.
Yep.
Okay.
So, Mazzola was about to tell us some secrets.
What's going on with the drones? What is this?
Well, clearly, somebody doesn't want me to say anything because
say it anyways.
All right. So
Don't have to twist his arm.
So basically, in 2023, we had several new witnesses come forward. One of them is a guy named Michael Herrera. This guy was a Marine, and in 2009, he and his men were on a security mission in Indonesia, and they were basically doing security for the aid operation after the tsunami and the earthquake that had devastated the area there. And they came across a flying saucer in the jungle. And this thing was hovering several feet off the ground, but it was not being operated by aliens. It was being operated by an American covert ops team. With pickup trucks, and they were loading, Pelican cases and trucks into this flying saucer, and they were loading human prisoners. So when he first came forward, he thought that this was, some kind of like sex trafficking thing, human trafficking thing. He didn't know why they were trafficking these people. Well, after he came forward, he was contacted by somebody in these special programs, someone who is deeply embedded in these illegal programs, in these illegal operations, who said, listen, we want you to know that we're not sex trafficking people. What we're actually doing is this thing called the psionics program. And I now have multiple corroborating sources for this. I would stake my reputation on this. What I'm about to tell you is 100% true. And it's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And I can't believe I'm saying what I'm about to say. So basically, these guys have ET tech. They've got alien technology that they have recovered through crash retrievals. They've shot these things out of the sky. They go and they bring this back, and they've been trying to figure out how it works. They've been successfully, to some extent, reverse engineering it. Obviously, we have flying saucers that we're operating, so we've mastered the gravity tech, we've mastered the energy tech, but they're always trying to tease new secrets out of the technology. So extraterrestrial technology is 100% integrated with consciousness, right? It's controlled telepathically. But the people who run these covert programs are low consciousness assholes who cannot interface telepathically with the ET tech. So they have to recruit psychically gifted women, children, and mostly gay men from the third world.
Whoa.
Bring them in, train them in this sort of Stranger Things style psychic remote viewing program. And then they pump them full of drugs like amphetamines and other things that apparently enhance their ability to do this. And then they interface with this alien technology. And it's not just interfacing with technology that's already been recovered. They're also they're also doing a form of CE5, where they are telepathically connecting to ET craft in space. And then they are sort of hijacking that craft, telepathically taking over the controls of that craft, forcing it to partially materialize in our dimension so that these programs can shoot them down and recover more technology. These guys are coming forward. These guys, and I've asked some of them, why are you still alive? Because if I know that you're about to come forward, then
They've got to know.
Your colleagues know.
Yeah.
You know? And they said, well, we don't know why we're still alive, but we think that it's because so many of us are going to be coming forward at once, right? That this is what's keeping us alive. So I don't know the actual answer to that question.
And this is what Greer is saying. They're going to come forward in January before Trump goes into office.
And you've interviewed these people, these whistleblowers.
I've interviewed one of them, right, on camera. And that's Michael Herrera, and his stuff has been out there. He's been on numerous podcasts. So a lot of this won't be new to some people who are listening.
But is this supposed to be happening in January?
This is supposed to be happening within the next week and a half. These guys are supposed to be coming forward. Can
we pick this apart for a second?
Yeah.
Because are these indigenous people? You said they're third world, and these are essentially humans that don't have the same modern cultural program and have more of a sensitivity and a proclivity to be able to tap into these UAPs or the higher dimensions of consciousness in which they emanate?
Yes. So these are people who are psychically gifted, and apparently they're more likely to find these people in these other cultures. But also people from the third world, you don't have to force them to go into these programs.
Earthquake?
No, I'm feeling.
No, it's just the wind.
Is it just the wind?
Really?
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
That was
Oh my
so
God, it
heavy.
shook
Shaking
the whole building?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my God.
What an ominous setting to have this ominous conversation. All right, keep giving it, spilling the tea.
Continue.
Mazzola.
Yeah. So also, you don't have to force people who are, unbelievably poor in these other countries to go into these programs. If you offer their families, a decent standard of living, they'll voluntarily do it. Now, they don't realize that they're going to be dead in 6 months because the drugs they get pumped full of kill them, right?
Oh my God.
And these drugs are meant to enhance their abilities to do this, their psychic abilities. So the people who have been running these programs are sick of seeing children die, right? And they're also sick of all of the injustices associated with the secrecy we've covered in our films, and I don't have to recount them all here, or I can if you want.
Do you know why they would want them to die though after a certain amount of time, or is it just because the repercussions of these drugs just
it's
kill
a side
them?
effect.
It's a side effect. Okay.
Do we know what the drugs are?
I don't. I was told methamphetamines is part of it, but I don't know why methamphetamines would enhance someone's psychic abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So
I keeps them awake or something too.
I have no idea. This is just what these people are telling me. So Greer has been out there very publicly stating, hey, we're going to have a bunch of these Green Beret guys coming forward very soon. And then what happens? You've got drones all of a sudden over New Jersey, and the government claiming we have no idea what these things are. Well, nothing happens in our airspace. Absolutely nothing happens without us wanting it to happen.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So for them to say, maybe it's aliens or maybe it's China, it's bullshit.
Nobody's buying that.
They know exactly what this shit is.
I heard
right?
80% of Americans believe that the government is hiding something about these drones. But
Definitely.
80%, I'm glad that 80% is finally catching on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then you have this dude who allegedly blows himself up in the Cybertruck in front of Trump Tower, and then you have the email that was leaked by Sean Ryan on his show that this bomber allegedly sent, talking about the drones and how that we have this secret anti-gravity tech and these things are from China. And so in my professional opinion, as a professional conspiracy theorist, what this is clearly a psyop. This is some kind of psyop to muddy the waters and kick up a lot of dust and confusion ahead of these real whistleblowers coming out soon. You've got a guy who's a special forces guy, who's now, been labeled, mentally ill, PTSD, talking about anti-gravity and drones and UFOs, and he's a terrorist. And so now you have all this noise that needs to be cut through by these witnesses who are, who have promised to come forward and make their move. And I'm hoping that they're going to be able to. And the idea is that they're going to squeeze as much toothpaste out of the tube as quickly as possible. And the reason they want to do this before the 20th is that with the incoming administration, Trump doesn't know anything about the subject matter. He's completely clueless. Was that the wind?
I don't
Yeah, dude,
know.
this is
It sounds like there's a
crazy.
monster outside.
Yeah.
It
going,
literally feels like there's an
crazy.
apocalypse happening outside
Yeah,
the
no,
studios.
what a set and fucking
this
setting
is
for
crazy.
this
It's
conversation.
shaking. It's shaking the studio.
Oh, dude, shit's getting crazy.
Jeff,
this
can you
this
feel
is
that?
2025. Here we
Right.
fucking come. Let's go.
Right.
Just turn this bitch to 11. That's all I gotta say. All right, so keep going. So you're on a roll.
Well, I want you to tell
Was
me
I-
this in
Yeah.
layman's terms, because I'm listening to you and you're sort of talking about this guy said this and this guy said that and this and specialized in psyops and all of this
Yeah.
sort of stuff. But in absolute layman's terms, for idiots like me who don't understand all of that, what are you trying to say?
Oh, jeez.
What are you saying these drones are? What is a psyop?
Okay, so these drones are 100% man-made technology.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is man-made
Just
technology.
regular drones.
These are not regular drones.
The lights follow like what is it, FCC guidelines?
But not all of them. There's so many different kinds, though. That's the
right.
problem
But that's a
with
whole
this.
other thing. How
So-
it's being conflated.
So the simplest way I could put this is we have real witnesses who have committed to coming forward in the next week or two. What they're going to share is going to be absolutely catastrophic for the current power structure. So if you're the current power structure, how do you stop that? Well, for some reason, they're not killing all of these guys. Okay. So at least not yet. So that's off the table. So then what do you do so that you can sort of distort the message and confuse people? Well, you can throw a bunch of drones up. You can have a special forces guy talking about UFOs blow himself up, and now he's labeled a terrorist. So now there's all this sort of weird, confusing shit that's happening, right? So now if we have more special forces guys coming forward, talking about the same subject matter, you now have this sort of guilt by association. And you've got all of this confusion that's very hard. And this is hard for us who do this full time to sort through this and figure out what's real, what's not, who's lying, who's telling the truth. Mm-hmm. And so what do you expect the public to do? It's already having the intended effect of confusing us. But the point is, the drones are a distraction. It's man-made tech. The government's lying when they say they don't know what this is. And this is all about creating a bunch of noise so that when the real whistleblowers come forward in the next few days, their message isn't heard clearly.
Oh,
that's
wow.
that's what I believe this is. And
Okay.
I'm sorry if I wasn't
I-
communicating
no,
that clearly.
No, that's
Yeah.
fascinating. I mean, you're saying it's to sow confusion into the public discourse. So obviously, I don't know what the fuck is going on. But viewing this through the lens of what we just talked about, which is the national defense agenda. When I first saw this, I was like, oh, it was very clear. It was like they're going to use this to sow fear
Mhm.
and to gain public support to police the domestic aerospace. And, it's the same thing. 9/11, it's, what do they call it? A problem, reaction, solution, right?
Yeah.
So they say they use 9/11 to invade Iraq under false pretenses for weapons of mass destruction. And so everyone's freaking out. They don't know what it is. And I remember watching like the hearing in the government, them just discussing what's going on. And they just have military generals being like, oh, we have no money to police our aerospace. We have no money for this. We don't have the laws in place. And already they have started to make it that there can't be any drones over certain areas of New Jersey.
Yeah.
So that makes sense that they're trying to essentially stoke fear to gain public support to essentially engage in some sort of war with the phenomenon itself. That's initially what I thought. But then I started to be like, oh, well, maybe they're sniffing around for nukes. I here and now there's allegedly like 70 missing nuclear warheads that the government has just lost sight of over
Right.
the past previous,
Yeah.
however many decades.
See, but I've heard completely different chatter
Yeah.
from that and from that.
Yeah, what do you think?
So I have been working with a different group of people that believe in extraterrestrial life and experiences of ET phenomena and UFOs and things like that. And this is the other storyline, the other theory, which kind of resonates with me, but I think it resonates with me because my favorite movie is Signs, and it kind of like leans into that moment in time when all of the UFOs started to appear over one town, then another, staged for an attack. But what they're kind of saying is that it's a psychological experiment being conducted by our government to try and see how people will react to certain things. So, for example, you know, we all believe in this room that disclosure is imminent. We all believe that our government at one time or another has come into possession of an alien craft and probably extraterrestrial beings. I mean, they've even said it in Congress, right?
Yeah.
So we believe that a slow disclosure is starting to happen. And one thing that the government want to know is, how are we going to react when they come? And so these drones appear to be a way of testing that out. I mean, when I first saw them, when you first saw them, when all of us first saw them, our first thought was like, holy shit, is this it? Have they come? Are these the aliens? Are these craft? And I think that, or these people that I've been talking to really believe that's what this is. It's how will the people react. So let's all reflect for a moment on how the people have reacted. Initially, there were two schools of thought. Number one was, holy shit, aliens. The second one was like, drones, probably from another country, probably coming to case us out and kill us, right? But no one really freaked out that hard. No one really freaked out that hard. We always have this feeling inside us that when the extraterrestrials show up, the whole world's just going to and freak out, right? Did anyone actually freak out? I mean, a few people pointed at the sky and were like, oh, yeah, but no one really freaked out, right? And now it's, 3 weeks since they appeared? A little bit more, maybe?
Oh my God, it's only been 3 weeks?
No, it's more.
How long?
It started December 3rd. I remember
Okay,
because
so
because of the
5
Clif
weeks?
High,
December 3rd?
the Clif High prediction. Clif High predicted.
Oh, yeah.
Can
Can you explain who Clif High is really quick?
So Clif High is this amazing dude who basically he's written this software that scans the internet. It's basically the collective unconscious, and he's able to predict things based on words that are trending. I don't know how it works, but he makes some very accurate predictions. And so years ago, he said, okay, there is an intersection of Donald Trump and Joe Rogan.
It was like 2009, right?
Yeah, it was like 2009 he made this prediction. So
Yeah.
Trump wasn't president. and then he's like 39 days or something after that, right? So we just had Trump on Rogan for the first time. And then 39 days later, if that was the number, it was December 3rd, is supposed to be shit in the sky was his prediction. He's like, unbelievable light show in the sky, some kind of mass of sighting event. Well, that's when the drones started.
That's when they showed up.
Yeah.
Which is freaky. So it was 5 weeks ago-ish. How many people are thinking about them every second of every day now?
Just us.
Just us. People don't give a fuck.
No, but even us, like even me, you know, like
I'm not even thinking about
my
that
entire
often, yeah.
life is focused on
It's so
on
normalized
improving
for
it.
us. But
It's
yeah,
so- but it's
your
I mean,
point
like,
is it wasn't that Orwellian War of the Worlds.
no, I mean
freak out
they're
moment.
still turning up.
Right.
They're still turning up. But guess what? No one gives a beep. No one cares, right? Because it's the human psyche. Like, we're so used to consuming news, consuming tragedy and drama and chaos on a daily basis that we've actually normalized freaking drones in their thousands appearing across our planet, you know, with no explanation.
Yeah, we have an
Even-
attention problem for sure too. We're like, we just move on to the next thing.
realsies.
But people are in survival mode. They're worried about how to put food on the table for their family.
Exactly,
You know what
how
I
to
mean?
pay rent.
What do you
But
say, T?
even without the fear aspect of it, because I know people are like freaked out by it, but they're not, you know, just screaming in the
There's
streets or
freaked out
something
and
like
then
that, or
there's
jumping off
losing
bridges.
your mind, you
Yeah.
know, like.
But something that does concern me though is that, so first of all, there's the normal drones that we've been seeing, which have the sort of like the green and red lights and whatever, and they mirror sort of like an airplane. Some of them even look like small
They do.
airplanes. But there are other ones that look like orbs. There are ones that look like jelly things. There are ones that literally have rotating lights around the sides. There are also ones that have looked like they are spraying literally streams from the sky straight down onto the ground.
Right.
And so that to me freaks me out more than anything. I'm like, okay, obviously I just always kind of assume that our military and everything is just constantly surveilling us because I just assume that. But the spraying thing really got me. Have you guys seen the
I didn't see
footage of
that.
this?
No,
Like,
but
what
I'm,
is
I'm
that?
already traumatized about chemtrails.
Pull it
so
up, Jeff,
This
if
isn't
you
going
got
to make
it.
it any worse.
Pull
But
it up if
you
can.
know how you know that movie Joker with Joaquin Phoenix,
The
best movie ever.
the
best
sequel
movie,
or the
yeah.
first one?
The first one, right?
Yeah, I love that movie.
So you know there was this moment in time where you know he shoots I can't remember his name, the
Robert De Niro?
shoots Robert De Niro
Spoiler
and,
alert.
and he's wearing sorry everyone. But he's wearing the mask, right? But then afterward, once he's like out there, everyone's wearing the mask. Everyone's got this clown mask on everywhere. So all of a sudden he's able to hide in plain sight. He can just have his clown face on because there's so many other people with masks that he's not going to be noticed, right? What am I getting at here? These drones have appeared, right? And so everyone's looking at the sky and everyone's thinking maybe they're ETs, maybe they're not. We don't know. They're not getting shot out of the sky. Wouldn't it be a great opportunity right now for any ET craft that felt like visiting our planet and surveilling us and learning about us to appear? Because there's
what
so
I've
much
been
other
thinking.
stuff in the sky.
It feels like it might be both.
But
Also,
camouflage,
it
man.
could be both.
This is my.
What if they're What if our government is surveilling things that are coming into our atmosphere,
Right.
other beings? Because some of them don't look anything like man-made craft. It could be a hologram
that's-
projection or something.
Can
but
we
this-
just say
Right.
really quick that Joker 2 was fucking amazing and
Yeah. I
did
didn't
not
see it.
deserve any of the hatred that it
Why are we
got?
talking
I didn't
about the
see it.
Joker too?
It just needed a little love.
Wait, so this is my
It is good.
this is my I didn't see it yet.
Is that the musical one?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay, so my question, because it's not even a fucking question, it's more an observation.
Yeah, give it to us.
is so the actual phenomenon, right, which we all know is some sort of interdimensional phenomenon, has been taking place for long time. Obviously,
For us.
you both document it in your movies extensively. Like the amount of hours of footage you have of this phenomenon. And it's nothing like the drones. So the interesting thing is all of a sudden there's this media coverage of the drones. And all of a sudden they spent so much time rebranding UFOs in the past 4 years to make it UAPs, right? And this table set, but all of a sudden that language is out the window. It's drones, and then it's drone footage, and then they'll just drop in footage of orbs. They'll drop in the actual footage of the UAPs, UFOs.
Seeding it on in there, normalizing it.
How dumb can you be? It's so obviously not that. It's like being like, look at that hat, look at all these hats, and then just cutting to a photo of a shoe. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's why that's what seems weird to me. I'm like, it's like a rebrand. That's what makes me wonder what's going on.
Well, also, we have technology that we have reverse engineered and developed in secret that absolutely would look like magic. So when people say, okay, well, this one looks like a conventional aircraft, but this one definitely looks like alien, not necessarily. We've got, look at the Disclosure Project archives, look at the witness testimony. We have got amazing stuff that we've got stuff that looks like, partially materialized orbs. We have one witness describing a man-made Raytheon craft that had the sort of metallic metal coating that would change colors, and he said it felt like it had the consciousness of a predator cat. And it changed from this sort of liquid metal to this tiger stripe. And this was a man-made craft. So we have some really freaky stuff that would absolutely convince every government on this planet that it was alien. And it's totally man-made, but it would fool our own government, right? Because this stuff has been developed in secret by the private sector, by these totally illegal, unacknowledged, off-the-books programs.
So what do you think, because absolutely, first of all, they have access to craft that we have no idea, that we would be completely fooled, any of us, if we saw it. So do you think that, because we all know Project Bluebeam, right? So Project Bluebeam is them projecting into the sky and then what is it? They end up projecting different deities or something
Allegedly.
into one, and it
is there
creates a
any-
one world government. But
Bluebeam
anyway,
is the UFO invasion,
Yes.
but they've they had a plan to project the second coming of Christ
Yes,
over
that's-
Cuba with
that's-
holograms.
that's what I'm talking
So
about,
is
yes.
there any evidence for Project Bluebeam? Because I went through this a long time ago, like 15 years ago. I remember reading about this. Is there any, like, where does this come from?
Yeah,
Do you
'cause I
know?
mean,
Yeah, I mean,
As a professional conspiracy theorist.
yeah, I mean, all the evidence you need is the MO of the national security state, right? So, like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
Mhm.
Well, the national security state has been doing the same thing over and over again with the same outcome. So the idea that you're then going to put magical technology from outer space into that equation and not get the same outcome is crazy. You know, this is what they do. You know, they lie, steal, cheat, and kill to hoard resources for themselves that they feel is strategically necessary for America's national security and economic prosperity. That's what they do. Having magical technology from outer space is part of their strategic advantage. You know, oh, we have to keep it for ourselves and let American companies benefit from this because we can't let the Russians get it.
Right. Aren't we dealing with everything you just said, right? Which, like, the corruption of the government around the phenomenon, the reverse engineering, the technologies, the secrecy, right? All of that. But there is also the phenomenon itself. And the phenomenon itself it operates within the law of free will. And it is meeting us on the level of consciousness. I mean, one of the most fascinating things is you look at reports from a century ago of UFOs, the reports in these newspapers, they're steampunk, right? It's almost like it's just above our level of consciousness, technologically speaking. And you can already see with the orbs, they're already morphing. I mean, I saw a visual of an orb of Caduceus. This is shit. It's crazy.
I don't
love
know.
it.
I don't know if you guys can hear this at home, but this is crazy.
But here's the thing. I like it. It's fucking making this intense.
Yeah.
The thing is,
I'm actually scared.
I'm scared too.
I want to call my mom and make sure she's okay.
Do you need to
Right?
stop
Do you
and
wanna?
call her?
After this, I'll
Okay.
I'll text her.
he's a good son, but not that good of a son.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Mom.
But here's the thing: is the way the consciousness operates is it appears on a level that you can interpret it and work it into your worldview. Look at the way we're interpreting it. We're literally going orbs, or what's the Dior bag or whatever, right?
Dior bag.
On TikTok, they're not letting people post about the orbs, so people are writing Dior bag. That's why I don't know why they're fucking censoring the orbs. But the point is
Wait, really?
yeah, dude, this is really
Yeah.
happening. It's fucking crazy. If you want to post about the orbs, people are writing D-orb bag to talk about it. That's how you search it. I don't know how or why the censorship apparatus is stopping these posts and
Are they
conversations.
actually
orbs.
doing
This
that,
is real.
though?
This is absolutely real. I can't fucking believe it. But here's the thing. So people are seeing the orbs, right? Seeing tons of them in the sky. And people from our level of consciousness call them orbs, or they'll think, is it ball lightning? Is it some sort of natural phenomenon? Like, it still interplays with their skepticism. But now the phenomenon is starting to evolve to literally, I saw one of a Caduceus. It was fucking crazy. It literally looked like that staff with the serpents on it.
Oh, that's right. I did see that was like pinkish.
Right. And so the phenomenon, that consciousness, call it ET, call it interdimensional, operates within the laws of free will. So then there is the government's reaction to that phenomenon. So, I mean, so I feel like I'm kind of thinking this is a good thing because it has everyone's attention on the sky. And we know that the phenomenon, where your mind goes, your energy flows, and it amplifies. Like, it needs our consciousness to engage with it on our level of free will for them to essentially like initiate the next protocol. Does this make sense?
Finally, everybody will be just as obsessed with aliens as we are, the four of us are.
It's interesting. There's a woman, her name's Viviane Chavet. I don't know if you've met her yet. If not, you have to have her on your show. I'll introduce you. But Viviane doesn't channel an extraterrestrial. She is an extraterrestrial. She is a Nocturian. So she inhabits organic human body. She looks just like you and I, but her body has a lot of problems. Like, her body wasn't made for such heavy gravity, so she has a lot of issues with bone density, and like she's had all of these tests done. That it's incredible, and like while she's got this beautiful human exoskeleton, replica, she's not actually human, or at least this is what she says and what the doctors say. She's like a medical anomaly, medical miracle.
Oh, wow.
But talking to her is so difficult as an interviewer because I'm like, so what do the Arcturians think about XYZ? She's like, well, don't you mean what do I think? Right? Because she actually is an Arcturian, but in a human vessel here on Earth. Anyway, I spoke to her about the drones and she said a couple of things. So basically, as you guys know, when we've had some of the most profound sightings of UFO, they have been over government installations, places where they have nuclear weapons, and they've also been seen many times over nuclear power plants. And basically, whenever there's an opportunity for a human to fuck up the planet, they tend to kind of appear, right? So picture this. The world is looking at New Jersey. The world is looking at all of these drones. Our government doesn't seem to know what they are. And then orbs start to appear. Why do you think that would be? Like if they were multidimensional beings or if they were extraterrestrial, it would make sense that it appears as though there could be a threat. There could be something wrong. And maybe that's why they're showing up. And how do they know that these drones are showing up? I mean, they're tiny little drones floating not that far above Earth. It's not like they could be seen from the sky, right, from up there. But when there are people like Vivian that walk this Earth, people that are extraterrestrial, obviously they're sharing that information with their brothers and their sisters and their civilization. So I think that at the moment we're looking at drones. We're looking at man-made craft, reverse-engineered alien tech, but then we are also looking at beings and actual orbs from somewhere else coming down here. To be honest with you, the whole situation is a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's just this melting pot of like all of it.
I feel like it's good for disclosure, though, in
I
terms
think it's
of
great.
because I feel like it's giving people a language in which to engage with the phenomenon. I
It's
mean,
mainstreaming the phenomenon.
it's mainstreaming it, but you both walk through like several scenarios. You as well, T. Like you do feel that ultimately, in the end, this is going to be twisted for authoritarian control. Around the phenomenon and to engage in greater militarization and suppression of it all.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. and over the last few years, I've seen this really weird thing happen even in our own community, which is a pretty small community of UFO researchers. And, where we've sort of seen these sort of new high priests of ufology be anointed. And these are guys with currently active security clearances.
You talk about like David Grush and Lou Elizondo and
Chris Mellon. And these are people where everything that they say is pre-authorized by the Defense Office of Pre-Authorization and Security Review, right? And this is not to say
Shady.
that This is not to say, oh, everything they say is a lie or whatever. That's not what I'm saying at all.
But they're being guided.
We're not getting the full story.
They're being guided. These guys,
Yeah.
these guys are, everything that they're saying is pre-authorized. So I don't think they meet the definition of whistleblower. Maybe they do.
Why do
technically.
they act like whistleblowers if they're not?
Because it's PR. These guys
Act is the word.
These guys are doing PR for controlled disclosure. So last year we saw the so-called disclosure bill. It was the Schumer's amendment to the defense bill, right? Where it actually calls for the creation of a controlled disclosure campaign plan, which is going to be a 7-year slow drip. They fucking called it controlled disclosure, right? And then behind the scenes, our friends in Washington, D.C. are being told, we have to avoid catastrophic disclosure at all costs. And I'm like, catastrophic disclosure? What the fuck is that? Is that what I think it is? And they're like, yeah, that's disclosure.
But that's what I'm saying. I think this is a test for that.
I think that's absolutely part of it. I think that's absolutely a part of it.
I think this is the government testing the waters to see how we're going to react.
What if they're testing the waters, what do you think like the end game is for the tests? Is it?
I truly believe that at this point our government, and this isn't just a belief in my heart, this is from information that we know, our government is in communication with these extraterrestrial beings, right? more than any reason, because any civilization that was going to make first contact with another planet would go to the heads of that planet to make first contact, right? I believe that they're in contact with them. I believe that the extraterrestrials have said, we're coming. You need help. You need it now. This is going to happen. This is imminent. We can come our way or we can come your way. And I think that they're in cooperation with each other, and this is part of that. The government's slowing down their arrival and their, the fact that they're here by doing exactly this. The people aren't ready. We need to test them out. We need to see how they react to this. There'll be another test. Like, this is one test. There'll be something else soon. And there'll be something else soon. Just slowly but surely whittling away at us so that when they do finally arrive, it'll be like, oh, yeah, aliens.
Right.
And so
Knew it.
We're going to have to get, I think there's like a committee of people and stuff like that are being put together in order to.
Well, they were.
Create, oh,
they
not
were
anymore?
being put together. That was something that the community was so excited about. But you can talk a little bit
So
about
it's not
that.
happening anymore?
What do you mean?
Talking about the controlled disclosure campaign
Right.
advisory panel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's on hold right now because this
What?
bill. So because the so-called disclosure bill got gutted
Yeah.
by the 2 Republican congressmen who represent the district where Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is, which is where they keep all the secret fucking shit and the dead aliens and all the stolen tech. So what these lunatics, the way they've justified this to kill this, they're trying to use the alien technology to create a nuclear delivery device where they could, send a nuke to the other side of the world in under a minute. Now, I have every reason to believe that we already have this technology and we've had it since the 50s, right? But again, this is the information that we'd receive, and that was the justification for killing it,
Right.
because you've got magical technology from outer space that could usher in a new era of peace and prosperity where we would all be living like immortal billionaires in a Star Trek civilization. But, instead of that, we should just use it to send a nuke to Russia,
Yeah.
right? Of course.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Can you guys talk, as you guys are working on something right now that actually fits in very well with what's going
Yeah,
on
take it out of the government's
with
hands,
with the embassy. Can you talk about what the embassy is and what you guys are working on right
Yeah,
now?
and why you're doing it, which you kind of just laid out. Why?
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of the embassies
Do
and
it.
things like that, and then we
Yeah.
can talk about the project. Yeah.
Cool.
So we met some people recently called the ET Alliance, right? And so the ET Alliance is a really interesting organization. What they're basically doing is they're saying that there's all of these groups around the world that believe in extraterrestrial life and believe in raising the vibration of humanity and uniting our species with all of the other species. But they're all kind of separate and distinct. I mean, Acid for Squares is one of those groups.
That's right.
Our friend Tyler owns something called Contact Tour. Danny Sheehan has the New Paradigm Institute. All of these different factions, I guess you could say, that are all working on disclosure and working on, helping humanity to evolve. And so the alliance was formed to bring these communities together, which I thought was such a great thing, because already, even though the belief in extraterrestrials is in its infancy for humanity, there's already competition between the different groups. Like,
Yes, we noticed that as soon as we got into
So
like
weird.
the ET.
It's crazy.
The ET groups were
Yeah.
like, wait a second, so everybody
Oh, well,
kinda,
that's
like
not
has,
true.
Yeah,
There's
hates
pe-
each
the
other.
Palladians
There's
are
people that think
real.
it's like the
rep-
end of the world, and then there's other people that think it's the salvation. And
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
Here's what you got to understand about the UFO community, right? We're talking about information that's so important. It's the fate of the planet. It's
Yeah.
the fate of humanity, right? Is at stake. So if you disagree with my interpretation of the phenomenon,
Mhm.
you're not just disagreeing with me. You are putting the entire planet at risk with your misinformation. And so
Right.
this is why, like, the stakes are so high in the minds of people in this community. This is why you can't just have friendly disagreements, right? It's like, oh, you disagree, then you're an enemy of humanity. You're
Right.
an enemy of the truth. You're an enemy of the planet. And it's psychotic, right? but it's human nature.
It's human nature. And
Yeah.
and I guess with me and Michael, because and you guys as well, because we interview so many people in this genre, we meet so many people with so many differing opinions. And so when I the Alliance stumbled across me, actually. They reached out after they saw an interview with the ET. But I loved it. It really resonated with me because for me, I already felt the racism, not human racism, but the like interplanetary racism.
Yeah, it's speciesism.
And I felt like it was great to have something that could unify all of those voices and basically say, okay, well, you believe in that, but now share all that knowledge with us because we didn't know any of that, and then we have other knowledge and we'll share that with you. And their message is basically that all the knowledge is all the knowledge. It's not like, oh, you either believe in Jesus or you believe in Allah. It's like all of it's real and all the planets are real and it's all real. And so I thought that was really cool. And anyway, so we started.
They're obviously working together. If there's people call it the Galactic Federation of light or whatever.
The reason we've been booted out of the Galactic Federation is because we still have a racist mindset.
Right.
We're like we are part of the collective, but we're not part of the collective.
There's just so
we're
obvious.
Sitting on the outer.
There's just so blatantly a protocol that is agreed upon that is like we're in some sort of quarantine and it's being rolled out. Like obviously, like, you know what I mean? It implies a certain communication and corroboration, not that they're warring for our souls, which I know some people think. But sorry, Serena, keep going.
No, and so I love the idea of bringing all of our groups together and sharing all of that knowledge and seeing if there's common denominators there and trying to further things. But anyway, these groups have all joined together and they're all working on this really interesting project that they call the Embassy. And so basically what the Embassy is they're saying that multiple people from multiple groups all around the world, not just now, but over the last 1,000 years or so, have received messages from extraterrestrial beings saying that we need an embassy to be built here, an extraterrestrial embassy. Why am I using the word embassy? An embassy to all of us is a safe haven. Mm-hmm. So just say that we were in Russia, and we were in trouble. As Americans, we can flee to the American embassy.
The U.S. Embassy.
And the second that we walk across that threshold, we are protected by the full weight of the American government. Even though we're in Russia, we're not in Russia anymore. We are in the United States, and we're safe and we're protected. No one can hurt us. And so why they want to build an extraterrestrial embassy is for the same reason. So that when our ET brothers and sisters come and visit us, once they cross that threshold into this internationally recognized embassy, recognized by the United Nations and anyone else that we can get on board, then those extraterrestrials are protected. They cannot be extracted by any government and taken to a lab to be experimented on. Their craft and the tools they bring with them cannot be taken away from them. And what would also happen in that embassy is it would create a safe space for us to have like a UN-style situation happen where humans from different areas of our planet, along with extraterrestrials from different planets, could all come together to share their knowledge and their information and skills. Because we always kind of riff about, the aliens will come and they'll give us our tech, but how's that going to come down? How's that all going to play out? Or, hello, I'm an alien. Here is my tech. No, you would sit down, you would discuss the issues that our planet is having, where we need help. They would make suggestions. It would be like a nice open forum for it. And so these groups have banded together under the ET Alliance and they want to build this embassy. Together, they've raised over $50 million and they actually have the funding right now to build a sick embassy.
Do you know where they're going to build it?
Well, this is the rub, and this is why we're looking at making the film. Basically, to make an embassy, it has you can just build a building right now, call it the embassy, and have at it, but
to
it
make
won't
it
be
legal.
protected. To make it legal, you have to have one government anywhere in the world, one government accept it as an embassy and allow you to build it there. And at the moment, they haven't been able to do that.
I feel like that would be Mexico or South America.
I wonder if we could do it
on
indigenous land in North America. We would have to partner with them, but the treatises that are signed might be a way of circumventing the laws.
That's such a good
100%.
idea.
So, and we're aligned with the American Indian movement.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've been building a compound for the apocalypse compound in North Carolina,
Totally.
which, you'll have a room and we've been talking about how we have to get close with the indigenous communities there. That's something to explore. Sorry for the
100%.
sidebar,
No,
but
in
we
particular,
can look into that.
No, I love that, and let's do that. And in particular, because Indigenous communities are believers of extraterrestrial life,
Yeah.
because it's been in their
culture from the
history
beginning,
books
yeah.
The
forever,
star
right?
people, yeah.
But I love that you just interrupted and you just brought that forward, because that is why we're compelled to make this film. I want to make this film because I want people to hear that this project exists.
Yes.
And the difference between success and failure is numbers.
Yes.
Okay? The power of the people. The more people we can get to watch this film, the more people we can get to sign a petition to vote yes for this particular embassy, the more power we will give these people that are going to get this embassy built. Imagine this situation right now. You've got 30 people from the ET Alliance going over to Congress to say, we want an ET embassy. What's Congress going to say? Fuck off. Now, imagine if they went there again, but they're like, here's 100 million signatures from people all around the world that all want this, and here's $50 million,
We have the money to build
and
it
here's a
everything.
piece of land, and here's a country that have accepted that they will do it. There has to come a tipping point where your government can't say no.
Yeah.
Right? We believe that tipping point's 1%. If we can get 1% of the population to back this agenda, then we think that it's something that we can get approval for and we can have happen. They say that if you build it, they will come. I want to take you on a journey back in time now. We recently went to Mexico and we went to a pyramid called Teotihuacan, right? I'll throw this to you for a minute so you can tell them a little bit about what we were taught about why Teotihuacan was built and about the red earth.
Yeah, so this whole complex was built by a reptilian god.
Whoa.
Yeah. That was my reaction too.
And wait, before he tells the story, let me explain. This isn't like people like us that are into aliens that created this story. The story he's about to tell you is written in the most ancient of history books in Mexican.
Yeah, this is like what the tour guide is telling us. She's like, this was built by reptilian gods from Mars. And the whole place was covered in this like mercury compound that turned it this sort of
mercury oxide.
That turned it this sort of muddy red, right? And you could still see some of it there. And it's the color of Mars, right? Yeah. It's just it's the freakiest thing. But this was basically a diplomatic center for humans and ETs to interface.
What?
Same thing with pyramids in Egypt. These were diplomatic centers.
Were they telling you this?
Absolutely, yeah.
The
lore.
The hieroglyphics in the pyramids of Giza, on the pyramids of Giza, tell that exact story. So these gods, they came down. They needed a place to be their quarters, a place for them to exist and be safe and to live, just really to fulfill their biological and physiological daily needs, so that they could live here on Earth and, I guess, work amongst the humans to help with, improving humanity. And so we have this situation where all around the world and in ancient history, we have had these embassies built. But right now we don't have a functional embassy to I guess invite these people, these beings to come and visit us.
Yeah, like my first reaction when I first heard the idea, I thought, oh well, ETs don't need an embassy. I mean, they can appear and disappear. They can materialize and dematerialize at will. They can be a ball of light. They could be fully materialized. Why would they need something like this? And then I thought about it for more than 10 seconds, and I realized, oh, this is as much for us as it is for them, right? Like, this movie is not about the building of this embassy because they can't build it. They've got the money, they've got the plans, they've got the engineers, but there's no political will. So this movie is actually about building the kind of civilization that would build an embassy for ETs, because when we're ready to build an embassy for ETs, we've transcended the speciesism, the tribalism, we've ended the illegal secrecy, we've disclosed these things, and we're willing to welcome them with open arms in peace and diplomacy and with love. So it's really a symbol of our readiness and our worthiness for contact. And so that when I realized that, I was like, oh, I'm totally sold on this. And so we're currently crowdfunding the film because yes, there's been $50 million raised for the embassy. We don't have $50 million, so that's why we have to just want to make that distinction. So we are crowdfunding this film.
So
and
donate.
we'll make sure to put the link down below for
Massive Squares. We donated.
We'll put it on the screen and also down below in the description.
Thank you. And we have actually been granted unprecedented access. I can't name who, but we are going to be, if you guys will generously support this film, we will be taking you to Egypt, and we have been granted access to film in secret chambers, not just at the Great Pyramid, but other sites in Egypt that have never been filmed before.
Can we come with you?
Yes, please come and be in it.
Please.
Well, no, I mean, I was going to talk to you guys about this. We definitely want to profile you in this film because this movie
in Egypt.
Because again, this movie is not about the building of an embassy. It's about building the civilization that would build the embassy. And so we're profiling the people around the world who are doing their part to build the new paradigm of consciousness. And a huge part of that is the work that we're doing here at Acid for Squares.
Yeah.
So you guys have to be in the fucking movie, and you have to come to Egypt.
We're honored. We're so grateful for the work you guys are doing.
Great.
Well, it's so cool what you're doing and what you just talked about, because you're like, on a very physical level, yes, it's an embassy, but what we're actually doing is we're creating the symbolic physical manifestation of a bridge consciousness, which is what we're talking about.
100%.
And look, I don't know if we've ever talked about this, and I don't even know if trying to communicate this, if I'll be capable right now, but I will do my best. So when we do ceremonial work, a lot of times what we're doing is we're helping build a bridge for the people sitting in the circle when we're holding the space to the other side. Typically it's with their ancestors, but sometimes it's ET.
Or guides.
And it's very difficult work. Usually we get sick. It will be purging. There's a lot of things that we can do, hand movements, light codes, symbols, prayers. There's a lot of things. They're very ancient shamanic techniques. Now, these centers with the pyramids that you're talking about, I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but a lot of the way I see the chambers and also the way the pyramids are placed, it almost looks like acupressure points on Earth.
Right.
You're talking about building a dimensional bridge, which is a vibrational thing. And when it comes to an individual's vibration or their consciousness, it all starts with intention. I mean, we said earlier that they are many of the phenomenon. I don't understand the abduction phenomenon because it's not abiding by the law of free will, but that's a whole
unless it's decided beforehand.
It's free will because it's decided beforehand in life contracts before you come here.
And I believe that as well. I believe it. And I mean, also that's a whole nother thing.
Sure, it didn't feel that way at the time, but
right. But in your doc interview with an extraterrestrial, when Bashar gets into it and Daryl, he's saying that the Greys are us from the future coming back to harvest. So that's a whole nother. That's a whole nother thing. That's us from the future.
Right.
That's
agreeing to help us from the past.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. We're talking about interdimensional beings that are existing in a higher plane of existence in another timeline of Earth or another version of Earth, and we're merging these worlds so we can cohabitate and coexist in a singularity of consciousness. I digress. The point is this, is what you're doing.
What you're digressing, but what you're saying is like exactly right. And when I like to dumb down the embassy.
Please do.
And the way that I look at it is this, right? If we're actually serious about inviting extraterrestrials to come on our planet and spend time with us and teach us their ways and vice versa, they're not going to come here, give us some knowledge and leave the next day. Like any projects take time. You know, having an embassy, I think, is important because it will be a place where humans and extraterrestrial can meet each day and work together and learn from each other and implement strategies. And even though they are interdimensional, like they you still need that physicality. You still need a place for people to be able to meet and congregate and discuss things and talk and, and roll things out. And also, I think that this embassy, like the other pyramids, will act as something more than just a structure to be within. I mean, the pyramids of Giza, as we know, align with the constellations in the stars. They've been used for energetic communication from planets to Earth. So I'm sure that whilst we will build the bricks and the mortar, when they come, they'll come with the spark.
Yeah, because it's showing them,
and
hey,
that building will
we've
become
reached.
more, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We're showing them, hey, we're ready. We're serious about having a relationship with you. We've reached that level of maturity. We got our shit together. Please
You're protected.
Come.
You're protected.
I think
the government
that's the
has
main
acknowledged
thing.
it.
Right.
You know?
That's the main thing, is being like, hey, we are actually creating a space that is protected by law, that you cannot be harmed, that we are here to understand and work with you and learn from you and see how we can create a better world together. And without the embassy, because I never really thought about this before. We had thought about like our healing center and stuff like that, we're like, oh yeah, maybe we could have like a spot where it's like, oh, that we just like create a space for this. But that absolutely makes sense, that there would be one spot that's legally bound.
This is amazing.
And it's not new. It's been done before.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean,
Well, yeah, because in Mexico, you're saying that this has happened before.
In Giza, but everywhere, like at Stonehenge and, Easter Island. I mean, like we see remnants of old embassies everywhere.
So this is, and you talk about all those like ancient monoliths. I mean, like when we like build an altar for a ceremony, it is very much a very almost like a remote, version of this. I mean, you're talking about like a far more concrete, monolithic version of this. But okay, I wanna kind of like go. I want to ski down this slope for a second. So there is a lot of evidence that shows that they're already here.
Yeah.
That they are outside of our perception, our Overton window of what is actually that we accept, and that the protocols they're putting in place are blipping into our reality and blipping out to get us on a level of consciousness to bridge into that dimension. So my question, so if they're already here, you're talking like, I mean, I don't know, can you elaborate a little bit on what actually having a physical space, how it will help people sort of phase into that dimension or introduce them into our dimension without starting mass panic, as you sort of outlined?
Well, I think that's what it is. I think first of all, it's like, welcome to CNN. Guess what? We're building an extraterrestrial embassy. No, but there it is, and there's beings and they walk among us and they're coming and blah blah blah. We're building the embassy, and I think for me personally, right, it's much more palatable and less scary and less, intimidating to know that they're coming and they're going to the embassy.
Yes.
And they're going to be in the embassy. And then all the dignitaries also, they're going to the embassy and they're going to do embassy shit. Okay, and my life's going to be better for it and cool, And like maybe I'll go to the embassy one day and like I see one. But it's just
contained,
more organized and contained than holy shit, I just saw a grey in my bedroom.
Yes, absolutely.
One thing that this is what drew me to the movie, and I'll get Michael to talk about what drew him to it. But what drew me to it the most is this. I believe that alien abduction happens for the greater good of humanity and for the greater good of that race. There's something about swapping DNA and understanding the physiological process of both beings' bodies that is somehow going to move us further as the eons go by, right? But the way that it's done is so scary and so clandestine and so against our will. But why? Why are they doing that? They're doing that because they're not allowed to simply come and swab me. Okay? There's no world where an extraterrestrial is allowed to come and just say, can I have like one vial of your blood, please? Okay? The only way that they can get this precious DNA that they need so they can protect themselves and help us is through clandestine force. Right? If we had something like an embassy, do you know how many people would line up to donate their blood and donate their DNA donate their eggs and donate their sperm willingly, happily, excitedly? There would be 1 million people, right? So having the embassy, what I love about it is it will end all these scary, weird, clandestine interactions that we're having with these beings, like they know they're not allowed here. Not allowed here. We see you, we'll shoot you out the sky. Trump said it the other day. Shoot down the drones. He said it, right? These fears are not unfounded. So I feel if we had an embassy, it would put an end to all of the clandestine, weird ways that the extraterrestrials are interacting with us. They wouldn't need to be weird anymore.
Right.
There's the landing strip. Book in your slot to stay at the embassy hotel and come and get your DNA from the millions of donors, and good luck.
Right. And I mean, because this is to kind of go, because you're going into like the clan, there's so much to talk about here, but the clandestine nature of the what's known as abduction phenomenon or syndrome. But, you know, Tanya, maybe you can elaborate on this a little bit. We've done ceremonies, we know more people than we can count who do ceremonies, and you're going in with healing intent, and all of a sudden you have this experience where these humanoid figures are operating on you, or you can't move, and you're on what seems on a table. I mean, typically we're laying down at the time, but because we are going in for healing, we understand that's what's happening, and
you accept it.
Yeah, we've had miraculous healing. We've seen people, but other people that are
But if you're just laying in your bed and you're not going to a ceremony and going for healing, it would be very intense.
Yeah. Well, it's just this covert thing, this shocking covert thing, and it doesn't need to be that way when there are millions of people out here that are believers that would happily engage happily.
Do you know? I mean,
I would. You would. Everyone in this room would happily give a skin or blood sample to an extraterrestrial.
Yeah, now I would. In the beginning, I was like, "Get back!" Like, no.
But get me 10 years ago now.
Yeah. I used to be scared. All right, I want to ask you a question, and this is like, I love that we're like diving so deep into this. But have you? We've talked about this a little before, but have you? But never on the show. Have you read The Law of One, the Ra?
I haven't.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Have you read it? Okay.
So much of the stuff that we've been told in ceremonies, once we went and like read that book, we were like, oh my God, it validated like everything we've been told.
It's so far out.
See, I've read the book and not done the ceremonies that you've done, so I haven't had that experience.
We'll have to get weird together some point. But there's, so because we have religious wounds, we for some reason, we have more aversions to reading the Bible or the Quran than we do reading, a channeled text from 40 years ago that's like super, niche, right? To us, we just take it with a grain of salt. We understand channels, and it's filtered through the prism of their own ego, depending on how good they are, right? So, okay, for those at home that don't understand about this book, and it's even too far out for this conversation, but in the 1980s, there was a Christian woman who was practicing channeling. Yeah, dude, this whole building's shaking. This is crazy.
It's like,
but I like it.
Feels like an earthquake.
It's escalating.
It's escalating.
Yeah.
And it's right on time. There's, so this channel text, she begins to channel a collective of ETs that go by the name as Ra. They call themselves a social memory complex. And they channel through this woman and with this professor. This professor's the one like documenting the whole thing for years and years and years. And it's one of the most holistic chronologies of the ET phenomenon. It goes from antiquity to the present moment to shit that is happening right now.
And these beings literally tell every time, they're like, is there anything we can do to help the channel for the next time? And they're like, put a bowl of water next to her head and then turn her southeast to whatever, like all this wild stuff every single time.
Yeah, the way the information comes across, it is just like, it's very just in your face, like, oh, this is some very serious shit. And it's really interesting because they talk about the soul's evolution. They focus on what they call polarization towards service to others. And that if you can polarize yourself a certain amount to service to others, that you can like graduate from this realm. And they're really focused on the soul's evolution and living in the heart more than anything else. And they keep pressing on like, they're like, how do we finish building the Integratron or like all, the pyramid. They're like, don't even like save your soul, like blah, blah, blah. Okay. The point is this though. They talk about everything you just said in these channel texts about these embassies. They talk about them coming to Earth in South America and in Egypt. Right. And the problem that they run into when they first come to Earth and they make this contact, they talk about how they're perceived, is that the humans start worshiping them as gods. And that it did more harm than good because it created a schism as far as the law of one, because that's what they abide by. It's what we
Right.
all talk about, oneness. We're all one, dissolving the illusion of separation. And that because they were perceived as gods, it put in the field of consciousness this hierarchy, which was this great distortion of this disconnect. It was the opposite of unity, and that it broke down, and that they had to leave in Egypt, and that's why they've taken this sort of hands-off approach since then. They said in South America they stayed longer, whatever group was. I think they call themselves the Galactic Federation of Light in that.
Right.
So my question is, how do you get around, if this happened and this is real, how do you get around the religious schism? Yeah, and the psyche of humanity.
Well, I was not around in ancient Egyptian times, 4,000 years ago, but I have a friend called Sarah Breskman Cosme. And Sarah is
Love
a goddamn legend, and quite by accident, she was learning how to do hypnotism, but quite by accident, she fell into a situation where every time she hypnotizes somebody and regresses them, they don't just regress back to their childhood, but they regress back 4,000 years to their Egyptian past lives, if indeed they had them, and sometimes even further to extraterrestrial lives, and you name it.
Atlantis.
She does tours in
Lemuria.
Egypt and
She's
stuff.
part of the film, which is amazing, but that's not why I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing it up because when she's regressed me, I've had my past life, and I can remember this regression with her so clearly, and my intellect, my brain, my mind, my thought processes were much simpler in that life, because when she regresses you kind of become that person for a brief moment, you know.
Yeah.
You
I did a session with her recently.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. You're kind of thinking it and feeling it. You can kind of see the you can
You
see
see
it,
it,
right? It's
yeah.
weird, isn't it? And you don't see much. You're just kind of in a room.
Yes.
You're not like, you don't see the expanse of the pyramids, but you're there, right? It's weird. And but my point is, like, from what I've seen and what all these people she's regressed have seen of Egypt, it was very third worldy. There was no, proper electricity like we have here in TVs and tech and all that. There was some tech, but not what we have, know. And they were basically living quite a rustic lifestyle, right? And these were newer human beings that didn't have all of the knowledge that we have and didn't know about, half of the things that we know about now. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because when they came last time, they came to a population of people that had religion, that didn't have much else, that were focused on day-to-day living, just food, cleaning, making sure their kids didn't die, and worshipping deities, right? Fast forward to 2024. It's different now. Like before, if you were Catholic, you were Catholic and everyone else was wrong and you hated everyone and all wars, right? Nowadays, Catholics are much more open to other people and, oh, you believe in that? Oh, okay, that's great. Like we have changed. We have evolved. We like having the presence of religion in our life, but we're not Bible bashers by any means. Most people don't go to church every Sunday, blah, blah, blah. It has changed. We are ready. We are like so ready to receive them again. And we have minds filled with such curiosity and questions. And I think that when they finally arrive this time around, it'll be like, finally, fuck, we got so much to ask you. What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. Do you feel it? Do you feel when they come here, you think of them like gods? I don't know. I think you know more than me. Please tell me everything because I'm dumb.
Definitely a higher intelligence, but not in any sort of like God form.
They definitely
exactly not a worshipy Jesus Christ second coming.
But we've
situation.
also had experiences with ETs, and so every time we've had experiences with them, it's been like wisdom passed down, and like information of how to help the planet, how to read energy, how to do other things
we're older
like that.
Than you, we know stuff.
Yeah, or like here's the structure. The first time I ever, before plant medicine or anything, I learned TM, and the first thing that happened is I had this blueprint brought into my brain, and it was a healing machine, and it showed me over a 3-month span. It kept zooming out and showing me another piece of it.
We have a friend that got
the first time.
channeled the same
thing
in meditation.
Yeah.
Didn't you also have an orgasm?
Yeah, and the orgasm. Was this before the orgasm or after the orgasm?
That was after the orgasm, yeah.
See, but all these messages, right, that you're getting and that everyone's getting and stuff like that, they're never, we are coming. we are the omnipotent gods and you must worship. That never comes out.
Right.
It's literally like, let me teach you something.
Let
me show you something.
It's a human thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
It is.
we project that because I mean, even though, to be honest, I'm more concerned about, and Tanya, I know you've been wanting to talk about this, but I'm more concerned about the schism in the field around demonism. And that I mean, there is, how many Christians are there? Were there 2.5 million or something like that?
Billion.
No, billion.
Billion. It's, I mean, they believe there is an antichrist and a rapture, that the
They
devil
also
comes
think
in.
that the ETs are demons.
Which
There's a huge movement right now that's starting to like look at the Daily Wire guys. They're finally talking about UFOs,
Exactly.
but they're framing it all as
but
demonic.
the bulk of Christians aren't running around worrying about demons and shit.
Yeah, but it validates their
maybe they
orthodoxy.
I mean,
Did,
anytime
but-
I've ever talked about ETs online, there's always the Christians in the comments saying like,
I hope you're right, Serena. But
save
yeah,
our sister,
we get that a
and
lot.
like you're talking to demons and whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah, but
Can we not move
I
past
just mean they're
this?
more like there's Catholics, right? Normal, just run of the mill people that happen to believe in Jesus. Period.
yeah.
Then there's fanatical people,
Yeah.
Right, yes,
which
yes,
are
yes.
just for me, I think that they're the smaller group.
I agree, but they're louder.
They're not
so it's
that
the same thing.
small.
That's true.
I mean, the
bring
fanatical
this-
ones,
well,
because
can-
we have tons of friends that are Christian, and it's not like that
No,
at all.
they're
So I
all just
totally know what you're
lovely
talking
and
about.
don't
Yes,
care.
right.
I hope you're right, Serena, but we can bring this full circle right now because one of the recent phenomenons with the quote unquote the orbs, the Dior bags, is, as we all know, that you can interface with the phenomenon. You can interface with the quote unquote orbs. And there is an amazing video of a woman seeing this orb, and it looks very much like that Ezekiel's wheel. And she starts being like, I love Jesus. And the orb responds, and just electricity just starts circulating through it, and it responds. And she goes, oh, you know Jesus. You love Jesus. And she starts talking to
Wow.
it. There's another video, which came out like a week later.
little kid?
With the little kid.
Little kid just being like, hi, friends, or something like that. And then all of a sudden it starts like moving and blinking. And you're like, oh my God, it's listening to you.
And the funny thing is Jesus Christ, which we know, Christ consciousness, Jesus' name wasn't Jesus. Christ is a state of consciousness. Of course, they are going to be in alliance and in compliance with Christ consciousness, which is sort of the positive, underpinning of Christianity, regardless of the negative aspects of it. And I mean, I think that video should let people know that this is a positive thing. Although
I mean, look at the Catholic saints. Look at the miracles that they reportedly performed. They were levitating and they were communicating telepathically, and they were dematerializing and
Parting the
rematerializing
sea.
and bilocating and healing people. Well, what are UFOs doing? They're levitating, they're materializing, they're teleporting, they're
Same
bilocating,
things.
they're communicating telepathically, they're healing
Giving
people.
wisdom.
Yep.
So, these are civilizations that have, millions of more years of spiritual advancement beyond us. They're basically all operating at like a saint-like level of consciousness. And, they're cosmic missionaries here to see the primitive human monkeys pulling ourselves out of the mud, still throwing rocks at each other, but, on the verge of becoming worthy of being welcomed into this intergalactic family.
Yeah.
And
Missionaries.
that's why they're here.
Framing them as missionaries is
It's a great way.
one of the
Mhm.
healthiest ways to reframe the conversation, because everything we're talking about, we're all having this talk publicly so we can stretch the consciousness
Right.
into a new space, right? So this is part of moving closer to it. Missionaries, they are spiritual emissaries here. I mean, we're
Cosmic
talking
missionaries.
right. So I mean, that is the ultimate truth, and this contact is a spiritual contact. But obviously, we're forgetting that we're spiritual beings. We feel like we're physical beings, and we have a spirit, right?
having a
It's
physical
vice versa.
experience.
What if it's like how the Mormons are required to go on a mission for a couple
Yes,
years?
right.
What if these are like
Yeah, the Mormons,
extraterrestrial
They're
teenagers?
like 18
and it's like, oh fuck, I gotta go to Earth.
right?
Oh
Right.
shit. You know?
I reckon they'd be excited.
Yeah.
I don't, and you know, and to be clear, like the ones we see are the missionaries, or as Daryl Anka Bashar says, they're the first contact specialists. You know, and I think there's no accident that you're meeting them when you're going on these plant medicine journeys that you're going on, because you guys are missionaries as well. You know, and anyone that goes on these journeys are too. Like anyone that decides to step out of this normal realm that we're living in and challenge like everything that we've been taught before is on that mission too, because just as much as they're trying to make first contact with us, we're trying to make first contact with them. You know, why I love this man beyond our friendship, but why I love him and I worship him is because when he made CE5, he wasn't even really that into aliens. It was a job. You know, it was a nice paying job.
That's amazing.
And then he changed the world.
And then he changed the
fucking world. And he made like 10, 20, 30 million first contact specialists from Earth.
And he's so humble.
And
it's like
so
the
crazy.
thing.
But I'm telling you, when they finally come, like this, what he did
gets a medal.
It is just so instrumental, because we fast tracked, like, you know how they talk about how we were just like cavemen and then the aliens came and they messed with our DNA and boom, modern day human. I feel like the movie and the impact it had was very similar in a sense that none of us, well, a small handful of us were looking up at the sky, a tiny little pinprick of humanity, but that movie, you know, increased those minds like a millionfold.
Reaching out to them.
I thought nobody would see that movie. I thought it was too weird. I thought maybe a few hundred people.
Little did you know.
Babe, it was weird as shit, but we were ready.
No,
you know?
it's
and I love you too, baby.
You changed my life, babe.
We love you. We love you both. It's perfectly designed because you took people from the shadow, the corruption, which is the trauma around the phenomenon, to
the joy.
To empowering people to actively contact the phenomenon, actively engage with the phenomenon. I mean, Serena, like, would you be here if you didn't do CE5 and have your personal experience?
I'd be sitting opposite Caitlyn Jenner doing Hollywood Disclosure, season 14 or something like that.
I'm so sorry I robbed you of that.
I know.
I'm sorry.
You too. First of all, thank you so much for being our friends.
We love you.
We love you guys so much.
And we feel like we're on this journey together.
I know. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's nice having people that like fully understand and are on the same mission, like actively on the same mission, which is so, so important. As we wrap up here, is there anything you want to say to wrap up this for the audience, or anything else with the embassy? Maybe plug it one more time.
Well, I'll say one thing and then you can finish it
and
off.
also tell us what's going on with This Is Not a Hoax.
Oh, he can do that too. What I love about this movie, why I agreed to make this movie, because I was taking a little bit of a break from making movies in the extraterrestrial realm. I'm about to do a very spooky movie with Jack Osborne that I'm very excited about. But I got pulled back into the vortex and decided to make this film because I love the fact that we're empowering humanity again. You know, and that's why we've got Mazzola involved. That's why he's written it and directed it, is because what he did for CE5, we're trying to do again with the embassy. You know, he got tens of millions of people to look up and to reach out, right? And now what the embassy is doing is it's saying, well, we've looked up, we reached out, they said hi, crazy. And now they want to come and visit us. And so what we need to do is we need as many people as we can to watch this movie, to sign the petition that they'll be asked to sign at the end of the movie, so that we can go and bash down the doors of Congress, not only here but in other countries around the world, until finally one of them agrees to allow us to have an extraterrestrial embassy. Because if we build it, they will come.
Or one in every
country. And we want it people run, not run by the government.
No, not by the government.
We want it run by the people.
Exactly. They don't care about the government. They care about humanity. And so humanity need to be the ones that reach out and invite them and give them a safe place, a safe haven, so they can come and visit us and we can finally join that galactic community we all fantasize about.
For the people, by the people. And also, my biggest rub is that most people kind of like shrug their shoulders and are just like, I don't know. But if it's true, which we all believe it is, we all know it is, it's the amount of deaths on the hands of the apathetic is unquantifiable when you talk about the advancements in medicine and all the things that will come from it. So, I mean, so we need to move beyond apathy, and this is a great catalyst.
Right.
Mazzola, anything else you want to add?
No, it's a perfect note to end it on.
Oh, come on. That's pathetic.
I know that's how you feel too.
Wow. Just try. Come on, get something out there.
Well, I will say regarding This Is Not a Hoax, which is our documentary about the Nazca alien mummies, the so-called Nazca alien mummies, which are actually 1,000-year-old genetic experiments, which we prove in our new documentary. It's currently in post-production, so it'll be out.
Yeah.
It'll be out probably the middle of this year.
Oh my
and
God.
we're very, very, very excited about that.
Just get ready to like rewrite your own history book, because when you see the footage that we have and the proof, my God, like
It's crazy.
Will this be on Spark?
yeah.
Okay, which is your
It'll be
streaming
on-
platform.
It'll be on Spark, our platform, our Spark, our channel, but it'll also be just available absolutely everywhere. We want everyone to see it because once you see it and you hear it and you experience it, you'll be changed forever. It's the first thing we've
Unless
ever...
Netflix wants to acquire it.
Oh, yeah, they can take
hey,
it too.
Netflix. Yeah.
What we love so much about This Is Not a Hoax is that we just needed to present the information. We don't need to give opinions. We don't need to try and convince anyone of anything. Once you see it, it's undeniable.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to plug the embassy?
This is the next step. This is the next step for the CE5 movement, in my opinion. This is the next evolution of that. This is now taking this personal contact experience that so many of us have experienced because of CE5, and now it's building a society that reflects those values. So please support the film. We cannot make these movies without the public support. And we've come up with what we think are some really cool incentive gifts to say thank you, including you can come to Egypt with us if you want to write a really big check. That'd be fucking amazing. Please come. And that's it. I have to pee.
Okay.
Oh,
We love
also,
you.
Michael Mazzola will suck your dick if you... No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
$50.
No, not 50, not 50.
50K.
50K.
Yeah.
My dad always says I'm a whore, but not a cheap whore.
That's right.
All right, we love you both
We
so
love you
much.
guys. Yeah.
That's the perfect note to end it on.
To all of our listeners, thank you for sticking with us. Please support our dear friends and partners. We can't vouch for them enough. The link will be below and all the ways that you could support them. And as always, please subscribe, link, share, comment. Push us into the algorithm. Help us get our weird shit out there. We recently were censored by YouTube. High five, Tanya. That's how you know you're doing it right. So
YouTube took our whole video down.
Yeah, so we're getting shadow
And
banned.
we're
left and
shadow
right.
banned on TikTok
That's-
too.
Wait,
how-
who got banned? Who's episode?
Melanie Martin.
Martin.
She was like talking about and the
Medicine
crazy thing is
stuff.
we cut 45 minutes out of it because we knew we were gonna get banned, but it's only pushing us further to support free speech platforms like X and to start to be like, okay. I mean, I think we need a little kick in the teeth because it gets us a little pissed, and now we're like, all right, now
It helps
we're
having a
we're
little
gonna
She,
stop
fire
it.
behind
she
it.
gets
Totally.
censored, but I don't. I need to up my game.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, everybody,
All right.
be well. Peace.
Until next time.
Bye.